Hello students, today we are going to start a new chapter, that is the chapter number 5, the fundamental unit of life. So students, under this chapter we are going to cover the topics about the cell as a basic unit of the life. We will study about the cell in detail here, different types of the cell, about the cell membrane, cell wall, cell organelles, chloroplast, mitochondria, and the nucleus, chromosome, its basic structure. So in short, we are going to study about all these topics in details here. So now students, all organisms including the plants and animals are composed of the cells. Each and every cell arises from the pre-existing cell. These cells becomes the specialized to perform the different specialized functions after the division. So student, cell is the basic fundamental structural and the functional unit of all the living organisms. So students, in this chapter we will study about the complex structure of a cell, its various organelles and their function inside the cell. Students, a cell is capable of independent existence and carry out all the functions which are necessary for a living being. Unicellular organisms are capable of independent existence, which shows a cell's capability to exist independently like in amoeba. Due to this, a cell is called the fundamental structural and functional unit of living organisms and the basic unit of life. So students, moving on, let us discuss about the discovery of the cell. So students, Robert Hooke examined a thin slice of the cork under the primitive microscope. He observed that the cork consists of the small box-like structure resembling the honeycomb. He called these boxes cells. The substance called the cork comes from the bark of a tree. Cell is a Latin word for a little room. So student, basic characteristics of the cells are as follows: that they have the ability to replicate independently, they contain the heredity information, they can perform all the life sustaining activities on their own, they show the similar chemical composition and the metabolic activities. Now the cell theory was also given that the cell theory states that all the living organisms are composed of the cells. Cell is the fundamental unit of the life. All new cells comes from the pre-existing cells. So student, the cell theory was further expanded by the Virchow by suggesting that all cells arises from the pre-existing cells. Now students, on the basis of the number of the cells present in the different organisms, they are classified into the two types. That is the unicellular organisms, that means having the single cell, and the multicellular organisms, that means having the many cells. So students, in the unicellular organisms is a single cell constitutes the whole organisms. That means those organisms which are having are single celled and which perform all the functions. So for example, amoeba, paramecium, bacteria, they come under the unicellular organisms. In the multicellular organisms, many cells group together to perform a different functions in the body and also form the various body parts. For example, fungi, plants, animals. So these are the multicellular organisms and many cells group together perform the different functions in the body. And in the unicellular organisms, only one single cell is there to perform the all types of the function. Now students, let's talk about the shape and the size of the cells. Some cells have the fixed shape, for example the plants and the animal cells, while some cells like the white blood cells and the amoeba keep their changing their shapes. Fixed shaped cells may be of the various types like the elliptical, spherical, spindle shaped, knobbed thread, discoidal, elongated, etc. The size of the cell varies significantly from the smallest cell like the red blood cells to a very large cells. The longest cells of the human body are the nerve cells, which may reach up to a length of the 90 centimeter. Now students, the cells can be broadly categorized into the two types, that is the prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells. In some organisms, DNA and RNA, which are termed as the genetic substances, these are bound by a membrane, and this is termed as the true nucleus. Prokaryotic cells are the cells in which the true nucleus is absent. They are primitive and incomplete cells. Prokaryotes are always unicellular organisms. For example, the bacteria, blue-green algae, these are the few examples of the prokaryotes. Now let us discuss about the eukaryotic cells. So students, eukaryotic cells are the opposites of the prokaryotic cells. These are the cells in which the true nucleus is present. They are advanced and complete cells. Eukaryotes includes all the living organisms, both the unicellular and the multicellular organisms, except the bacteria and the blue-green algae. Now students, here in the following picture you can see the both types of the cell, that is the prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells. If you see them thoroughly, the nucleus is absent in the prokaryotic cell, but the nucleus is present in the eukaryotic type of cells. Now students, moving on, let us discuss about the functions of the cells. Each living cell has the capacity to perform some basic functions that characterize the living organisms, and these are that the shape and size of the cells are related to the specific function they perform. Multicellular organisms like the human beings perform these functions by division of labor. Different parts of the human body are specialized to perform the different function, such as heart is made to pump the blood, stomach to digest the food, kidney to filter the urine. Division of labor is also seen within a single cell. Every cell possesses the certain specific components known as the cell organelles. These enable it to survive and perform the special functions. Cell organelles together along with the protoplasm constitute the basic unit of the life called the cell. Each kind of the cell organelle perform a specific function. For example, obtaining the nutrition, respiration, clearing waste material or forming new progeny. Mitochondria is the organelle responsible for providing energy to the cell. Now students, moving on, let us discuss now about the structural organization of a cell. Microscopic studies reveal that every cell possesses the three basic features in common, and these features are the plasma membrane, nucleus and cytoplasm. Due to the presence of these features, all activities inside the cell and the interaction of the cell with its environment are possible. Students, let us talk about the plasma membrane or the cell membrane. So basically, what is the plasma membrane? This is the outermost covering of the cell that separates the contents of the cell from its external environment. The plasma membrane allows or permits the entry and the exit of some materials in and out of the cell. It also prevents the movement of some other materials. The cell membrane therefore is known as the selectively permeable membrane. Also, the presence of the lipids and the proteins provides the flexibility to plasma membrane. It enables the cell to engulf the food and other materials from the external environment. Now let us discuss few of the functions of the plasma membrane. It allows the entry and the exit of some selective materials in and out of the cell. It helps to maintain the shape of the cell. It acts as a mechanical barrier and protects the internal contents of the cell from leaking out. It also provides the protection against the microbes and the foreign substances. it gets modified to perform the different functions. Moving on, let us discuss now about the transport across the membrane. So students, the transportation of the substances across the membrane may take place with the expenditure of energy and without the expenditure of energy. So the spontaneous movement of a substance, that is the solid, liquid or the gas, from a region of its higher concentration to a region of its lower concentration is known as the diffusion. That is, any movement of a substance from the higher concentration region to the lower concentration. When anything is moving from higher to lower is known as the diffusion. Let us take an example of the carbon dioxide. This is the cellular waste which needs to be excreted out from our body. So students, CO2 accumulates in the higher concentration inside the cell. In the cell's external environment, the concentration of the CO2 is lower as compared to the inside of the cell. So students, due to this difference in the concentration of the CO2 moves out of the cell by the process of the diffusion. Similarly, if we talk about the oxygen enters the cell by the process of the diffusion only. Why so? Because the level or the concentration of the O2 inside the cell decreases, and as well outside the cell it is increasing. So from the higher concentration, O2 is entering to the lower concentration. That is the process known as the diffusion. So diffusion is faster in the gases than in the liquids and the solids. It plays an important role in the gaseous exchange between the cells and also between the cell and its external environment. In addition to the gaseous exchange, diffusion also helps an organisms in obtaining the nutrition from the environment. Now students, moving on, in the previous slide we have learned that the diffusion plays an important role in the gaseous exchange between the cells and in its external environment. Water also obeys the laws of the diffusion. The movement of the water molecules through such a selectively permeable membrane is known as the osmosis. The movement of water across the plasma membrane is also affected by the amount of the substance dissolved in the water. Thus, osmosis is the passage of the water from a region of the higher water concentration through a selectively permeable membrane to a region of the lower water concentration till equilibrium is reached. So now there are the following three things which can be happened. First is, if the medium surrounding the cell has a higher water concentration than the cell, meaning that the outside solution is very dilute, the cell will gain the water by the osmosis. Such a solution is known as the hypotonic solution. Water molecules are free to pass across the cell membranes in both the direction, but more water will come into the cell than will leave. So the net, that means the overall result, is that water enters the cell and the cell is likely to swell up, and this is known as the hypotonic solution. Now the second thing will happen, if the medium has exactly the same water concentration as the cell, there will be no net movement of the water across the cell membrane. Such a solution is known as the isotonic solution. That is, water crosses the cell membrane in both the direction, but the amount going in is the same as the amount going out. So there is no overall movement of the water and the cell will stay the same size. Now the third thing will be happen if the medium has a lower concentration of the water than the cell, meaning that it is a very concentrated solution. The cell will lose water by osmosis. Such a solution is known as the hypertonic solution. Again, the water crosses the cell membrane in both the direction, but this time more water leaves the cell than enters it. Therefore, the cell will shrink. Thus, the osmosis is a special case of the diffusion through a selectively permeable membrane. Students, let us discuss about the cell wall. So students, the plant cells, in addition to the plasma membrane which we have discussed already, have the another rigid outer covering called the cell wall. The cell wall lies outside the plasma membrane. The plant cell wall is mainly composed of the cellulose. Cellulose is a complex substance and provides the structural strength to the plants. When a living plant cell loses the water through osmosis, there is shrinkage or the contraction of the contents of the cell away from the cell wall, and this phenomena is known as the plasmolysis. Cell walls permits the cells of the plants, fungi and the bacteria to withstand very dilute external media, that is the hypotonic, without bursting. In such media, the cell tends to take up the water by the osmosis. The cell swells, the building up pressure against the cell wall. The wall exerts an equal pressure against the swollen cell. Because of their walls, such cells can withstand much greater changes in the surrounding medium than the animal cells. Now students, let us discuss the second feature of the cell structure, that is the nucleus. It is popularly known as the brain of the cell. It is composed of a double layered covering called the nuclear membrane. It has the numerous pores which are known as the nuclear pores. They transfer the material from inside of the nucleus to the cytoplasm. The nucleus contains the chromosomes, which are visible as the rod-shaped structure only when the cell is about to divide. Students, moving on, let us discuss about the chromosomes. Chromosomes contains the information for the inheritance of the features from the parents to the next generation in the form of the DNA. Chromosomes are composed of the two components, that is the DNA and the protein. The DNA molecules contains the information necessary for constructing and organizing the cells. The functional segments of the DNA are known as the genes. Nucleus also contains the RNA that directs the protein synthesis. Now students, you know that the chromatin is an entangled network of the long thread-like structure. It condenses to form the chromosomes during the cell division. Now student, let us discuss about the functions of the nucleus. So student, nucleus plays an important role in the cellular reproduction. In this process, a cell divides to form the two new cells. It also determines the cell development and the maturity by directing the chemical activities of the cell. It helps in the transmission of the heredity traits from parents to the offsprings. It controls all the metabolic activities of the cell. If it is removed, the protoplasm dries up. In some organisms like the bacteria, the nuclear region of the cell is poorly defined because of the absence of the nuclear membrane, and the nuclear region in these organisms contains only the nucleic acid. Such an undefined nuclear region is known as the nucleoid.